According to the United Nations, urban areas across the globe house more than half of the world's entire population. Transit has become a vital component in their lives. It's essential to traverse their region for school, work, family, or just for fun, and it's up to the government to allow them to move efficiently.
My name's Mu. I'm a part of the grad class of 2024 and an urban transportation enthusiast.
I like going out to different places, and I always appreciate having many options on how to get there. I can bike to the mall if I'm in a rush, walk if I want to chill, take the bus if I'm lazy, or even SkyTrain to a completely different mall if I want to.
The next station is Aberdeen.
It's always convenient being able to choose what I want, but this isn't always the case in Greater Vancouver. I grew up in a suburb of Bangkok, Thailand. There, I had no choice but to let my parents drive everywhere. The only taxi service I could get called for a 3 kilometers walk towards the main road. Although I didn't realize it at that time, this car-dependent development limited my freedom and isolated me. Almost a decade later, we then moved to an inner part of Bangkok. Finally, I felt like my world was getting bigger. The Bangkok SkyTrain became a way of my life for me, its ability to take me anywhere without relying on my parents being a major factor. My journey to school took double the time, but I still prefer going there by myself. Now, having moved to Richmond at the age of 15, I've started trying micromobility vehicles such as bicycles and e-scooters. Thankfully, these methods of travel are a perfect fit since I live near the city center. With bike rides less than 15 minutes long, my destination is usually a bit too far to walk, but too short to pay $3 in transit for. Alas, while I do enjoy them for the most part, I still can't overlook the underlying issue of safety on the road. Cars drive fast, and I don't want to ride anywhere near them. I have this handy map of bike lanes in Richmond, and as you can see, there are not many places I can get to, not to mention the discontinuity of these two bike lane networks that would have been really helpful for many people's commute. The city has a plan to connect them by 2036, but we have yet to see any details for that.
So for this capstone project, I'll be taking initiative. I'll be designing a safe connection here on number 3 road to see what Richmond can get to.
I started by surveying the area on my bike. Having some ideas in mind, I imported the satellite map into an editing software and created an illustration. Here you can see that the number 3 road bike lane suddenly stops at Cook Road. South of that is a short bus lane, then a really wide right lane as seen in the video. Now, seeing that a busier bus stop on the other side of the road doesn't need a bus lane, it would be justified to extend the sidewalk onto the bus lane and the wide lane to create a protected bike lane. The lane would go around the bus stop like this one on Cook Road. This would also speed up buses since they no longer need to pull in and out. Now that we have the southbound lane down to Granville Avenue, how about northbound? These northbound car lanes have their width being at the bare minimum. There's also a lot of trees next to some of the narrowest sidewalks in the city. Due to the lack of space, we can turn back to the southbound lane and do the same thing as we can see a lot in downtown Vancouver. Bidirectional bike lanes. This is really handy when one direction has more space than the other. We can tighten up the vehicle lanes a bit more and use the extra sidewalk space to extend the lane. I also made this intersection allowing the bidirectional lanes to split back into each direction, while also allowing this westbound lane to turn. Now that we have bike lanes for both directions all the way down to Granville Avenue, it's time to create a smooth connection between the two roads. One thing I noticed is that when approaching this intersection on the Granville bike lane, the lane becomes a shared lane with right-turning vehicles. This is dangerous since some drivers tend to not look when merging and many of them are impatient when waiting for the bike in front. Seeing how these dedicated right-turn lanes are underused even during rush hour, and how many other intersections don't even include them, I think it's justified to just remove them for safety. When designing, I'm using the famous Dutch-style intersection as an inspiration, where it can also be seen in London, Ontario. This type of intersection shifts the bike lane and the crosswalk outwards. This eliminates the blind spot for right-turning drivers and allows cyclists to easily turn left and right. I managed to modify that concept to fit with our bidirectional bike lanes, and to save space, I included flex poles instead of an actual concrete island to guide right-turning drivers. And there we go, this is my modified version of number 3 road that you can check out in detail by scanning this QR code. Now that I've completed the project, what have I learned from this? I play City Skylines, which is a simulation game where I create my own city, and in the game, I basically have unlimited space to build anything that I see ideal.
Doing this to a real-life image makes me realize that urban design is limited by many factors, from funding to terrain and building limits.
I had to sacrifice the right-turning lanes, and when I wanted more space, I couldn't just cut down trees and claim that building bike lanes is good for the environment. Removing buildings altogether is out of the question as well, with many potential debates, problems, and lawsuits waiting to happen. It's difficult to take all this into consideration, and now I understand the plight of city planners worldwide. Still, I hope that my passion in urban design can make the city a better place and allow people to have a slightly better life. I can also learn more about other aspects of urban planning, such as housing and economic development. Even if I don't end up being an urban planner, I can still advocate for it by creating these ideas and using my voice.